Happy Wednesday, Ged. Happy Wednesday, everybody. How's it going, buddy?
It's another day in paradise. What are you saying?
Came back from an excellent football weekend, other than the Jets stink, man.
What do you mean?
Stink.
Aren't they so bad that they lost to my team on Sunday?
Well, we beat your team once already. I've now been to 2 Jets games this year. I'm going to the one this Friday, and they've been blown out twice, and we'll probably be blown out a third time. But I will be there.
You were at the game this weekend?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Yeah. So enough of the Jets. We did get a little bit of Star Wars news filtering out. There's a recent article in Vanity Fair with Mr. One Dave Filoni. And we got a little bit of stuff from Daisey Ridely. So
I only know one of these. I'm curious to know about the other.
All right. Well, let's chop it up. And, in the interest of the time commitment for everyone, did you know that we got kind of chirped for talking too long last stream? 40 minutes was a little too tough for some.
I'm not surprised. We do tend to be a little long-winded. For those of you that would like this consumed in a good 15 minutes, I think it's fair to say that we would love to get through these in 15, 20 minutes because we know it's easier to consume. So I apologize if it's too long for people.
Well, I'm just like...
That's my public service announcement. I mean...
Are the people commenting about time never watched like a Star Wars theory stream that goes on for 3 hours? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I think us keeping them traditionally, in 20, 30 minute range is pretty good, but we will be clear and concise tonight. Because I got
it's true though. We do tend to ramble the odd time. Yeah. Hold on, your trip. Where are you going again?
New York.
Oh,
I mean, New Jersey.
New Jersey. All right. So let's bust it down. Which one are we going to go first?
All right. So let's talk about Filoni. So Filoni has a new job.
Got it.
Yeah. So he has been promoted to, let me go back to what it is.
The CEO of creative or something like that.
Yeah. So he is, COO. What the heck is, there he goes. Yeah. Chief Creative Officer. He pretty much now reports to Kathleen Kennedy and will work alongside Carrie Beck. So those are the two top dogs. And now Dave Filoni is amongst them. So if you ask me, regardless of what you think of Filoni's work, I think it's great for him. I think it's great for Star Wars. He has put in the time. He's put in the work. There's not a guy who's worked harder and has been a Star Wars lifer. So if there was ever a guy to get a high up position, that's your man.
Agreed.
So we'll read a quotes and then we'll kind of break down some more stuff about like what this ultimately means for the future of Star Wars, right?
Okay.
Sorry, just a note came to mind, so I just want to make sure I don't forget it later. So he says, I'm not telling people what to do, but I do feel I'm trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell. I need to be a help across the galaxy here, like a part of the Jedi Council almost. He described his responsibilities as understanding the intent of the filmmakers and being a resource to them based on his mentorship under Lucas himself and his years spent in Clone Wars, Rebel Ahsoka. So literally hours now of Star Wars storytelling I've done, he said, before pausing to rethink. See, I even phrase that like Yoda. Filoni will continue developing his film as well as exploring a possible second season of Ahsoka while serving in his new position. To truly help filmmakers, it was really important for me to experience it firsthand, he says. I can also lend a perspective on challenges and telling these stories that we'll present. I feel more capable of actually being helpful outside of just saying, well, Jedi are like this and Sith are like this. I don't have the exact quote on me, but the other thing he said was he was typically brought into projects after they were like well along in development. Whereas now he'll be at the beginning of projects and quite possibly a guy giving green light to projects.
Yeah.
When I heard that, like I knew he wasn't directly involved in, for example, the Obi-Wan series. But I know he was like, on set sometimes people were chatting with him, like who would do this, who would do that. So when he says that, I almost feel like that's one of the big ones he really means because Dave spent a lot of time with those characters, right? Like
Yep.
he spent more time with those characters than anyone else doing the Clone Wars. So like if there was anyone who maybe should have written or was a big time collaborator with Kenobi, you figured it would be Dave, and he was kind of left at the station on that one.
You and I talked about that when Kenobi was coming out. Like we had that conversation that one of your big hesitations was the fact that he was not directly involved in it. I literally remember this stream. We were both kind of sitting there like, okay. I mean,
like no one knows those characters better than what he does, and they bring in someone who's never been in the Star Wars universe to write Kenobi's story. Like, sure, it could have turned out, but it obviously didn't. Like, and you could, and like, I know I defend Kathleen sometimes, but she's the one who ultimately makes that hire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame her for potentially. I know some people obviously think she manipulates the stories and like drive home her plot points. I really don't think she's that deep in the weeds, but she definitely is the one who hired for that role and liked their story pitch, right? She ultimately greenlighted it, so to me she would get the blame. But now with Dave in this role, you got to figure his voice, his weight probably carries a lot, and it might even carry more than Kathleen's. Like he might be like, yeah, this project's a go, I think it's really good, blah blah blah, this person's going to come on and write and direct, and Kathleen might just rubber stamp it. Like, I hope that's what the relationship truly will be.
I mean, you just said it. I mean, you hope that it is. There is absolutely no doubt that Filoni has hit absolute dingers for a very long time. I mean, since you and I have been coming on the internet and talking to whoever's going to listen, I mean, every time he's directly involved in a project, it's been fantastic. The use of having a whole bunch of different directors do stuff in the same season. Like I remember when The Mandalorian came out and you had different directors doing different episodes. I thought that was the strangest thing in the world. And it was just such a great model. And obviously he was so involved in that, right?
And I'd love to know, like, whenever you hear these appointments, you never actually hear, is this, like, if you worked internally at Disney or Lucasfilm, you probably know, but is this a newly created position? Or B, did someone get fired or ousted and they've now put Dave in that role? Because, for example, if it's a newly created position, to me, what that says, it almost says that Kathleen may be taking a step back from the story side of it, focusing more on the business, right? Like, as much as people want to get on Kathleen Kennedy, there's a reason why she still has a job after all these years. And I would probably say it's probably because how the business has been run. And you could argue, it has been run poorly. They've announced 800 projects and like a ton of them get canceled and do not get off the ground. And I would agree with you wholeheartedly. But someone at Disney, one of the bean counters in the back, must feel like she's doing a competent job, because those roles, a lot of those roles are voted on by shareholders and stuff like that. And, when stuff doesn't go good, the highest up roles are typically the ones where the heads roll, right? And she's maintained herself there. So somewhere behind the scenes, someone is happy with her performance.
This is a great safety net for her. This guarantees her job security for a while. Creating this role, putting him in this position, giving him the ability with the absolute wealth of knowledge that he has. That is the barrier I think that she needs between her and everybody else. Because if it goes up the chain and Filoni greenlights it, you said it, like, she's in a position where she's borderline just rubber stamping it. She no longer has to carry the burden and the stress of how this will affect the Star Wars universe, how it will affect the storyline and then the vision of what they're trying to create.
Yeah.
This is an absolute no-brainer. I'm sure there's not a single person.
And I hope it helps with, like, for example, Rogue Squadron. Like, that's the biggest movie I'm bummed out about. And of course, all the rumors coming out was Patty Jenkins and Kathleen Kennedy. And I people always say Kathleen, but I think it's probably the story group, Carrie back, like all of them. They just couldn't agree on the direction they wanted to go do. And then they say, oh, there's scheduling issues here and there, and then it just falls apart.
So everyone chirps Kathleen Kennedy, but riddle me this. Yeah. Let's say Rogue Squadron gets rehashed in the next 3 months and they repitch it and Filoni goes, no. who in their right mind is going to go, I don't know, Dave Filoni, you might not be right here. And that's one of those things I was talking about earlier. Like,
Yeah.
Kathleen
will still
Kennedy
get
no
blamed for
longer
that.
has to worry about this, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it goes to him now and he's like, this is still stupid, everyone's going to go, yeah, it was stupid, Patty Jenkins. Come on, give your head a shake.
Yeah.
But because it was Kathleen Kennedy and her that were rumored to bump heads, then it's, why are you ruining this opportunity for such a great Star Wars story? And that is the buffer she needs, because maybe she runs the business brilliantly. We don't know.
That's the thing. No one really knows,
but
right?
giving
No one
him
really
the
knows
green
what the
light
day-to-day and stuff is.
Yeah. Giving him creative green light, mint. Absolutely mint. Yep.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a buffer for her, because now when they announce these next new projects and new series and they don't go well, all of a sudden it's going to be, well, Dave Filoni is the creative officer.
Yep. And you know what? I think he wants to wear that hat. I don't know if he would ever want to wear the Kathleen Kennedy hat.
A big cowboy-sized hat?
Yeah, the big cowboy Kathleen Kennedy hat. I think he is exactly where he needs to be.
Yeah. So so I think this is a good segue. So there's two areas I want to go here. First off, how do you think this impacts Dave Filoni's future as a writer and director for Star Wars projects?
Oh,
is he not? I'm assuming he's still doing Ahsoka season 2, and he's still going to do his movie. But after those are complete, is he taking a step back?
I think so.
And just focusing on getting successful projects up, getting the right writers and directors in the room, and letting them go to town. And he'll serve as EP on all of them, I would imagine.
Yep.
Just like Kathleen.
And I think that's the best play. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if he gives himself his own little project in the future, or if he's strictly, I'm choosing the stories we're going to do, and kind of green lighting them. And that is my kind of segue.
But that has the potential to be his greatest gift to Star Wars yet, because one person can only do so much as a writer and a director.
Oh, exactly.
If you can find and seek great talent and have people tell stories the way you would do it, and you've got 5 people that are now doing it, franchise could be in an even better spot.
And like I said, the relationship piece, I think, is the biggest thing, because Lucasfilm, in the history when they started doing all these Star Wars projects, they made it a point to reach out to young, up-and-coming people. Some of them they hired, some of them fell apart. Like, remember, Josh Trank was supposed to do the Boba Fett movie. Like, that thing got incinerated, right? Like, there's, Phil Lord and Chris Miller started doing Solo, but Lucasfilm, the story group, whoever it is, Kathleen, couldn't agree with their vision, and they had to bring in Ron Howard halfway through the film. But then those two go and create the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse series, and it's regarded as some of the best comic book movie ever created.
Have you seen it?
It's like, yeah.
It really is. It is spectacular.
I would love to see what their actual version of Solo would have been.
Yeah, it is spectacular.
That could have been a major bogey on Kathleen or whoever made that decision to oust them. Well, let's be honest, it was Kathleen. Yeah, so they played it safe. Bringing in Ron Howard is probably the safest thing you could possibly do.
Okay.
What kind of projects do you think Dave's going to choose? So his sandbox, right, has been the Clone Wars, and then inch past a little bit. Like, I feel like all his stories are connected timeline wise. Like, is that what he's been pigeonholed into because he was the Clone Wars guy and that's what he was given to work on? Or do you think Dave Filoni is like chomping at the bit to like, let's go to the Old Republic, like, let's go here, let's do this, and just wants to just do some crazy universe expanding stuff? Or do you think he's going to play it really safe and we're going to get, he really likes his characters, you know what I mean? Are we going to get like the young Kanan Jarrus show, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to be, which way you think he's going to go?
I think his projects will stay there. I mean, there's a huge cry right now there's a huge cry right now for a season of live action Clone Wars with young Ahsoka. I've been reading a little bit, which I think it'd be so much fun. I'm definitely here for it. There's so much to explore with the Mortis gods. But I think what he does do is he empowers those around him to go tell those other stories, and then have him act as that green light. And that, I think, again, what I said, like, that could be his greatest gift to the franchise.
Yeah.
Because he can now focus on the characters and doing what the stories he wants to continue to tell. But because he basically is a chunk of Star Wars, let's be honest, a large chunk of Star Wars in general, having people bring projects to him and having him get his ears perked, it's amazing. I think he'll stay in the sandbox, but I think he will encourage a lot of out-of-the-box projects, if that makes sense. What about you?
I think if he's going to handle anything personally, it's probably something he's worked on, because I feel like he feels that's his strength. But I think if someone pitches him an idea of, I want to do this and that, and this is my story, I
like
think
a live action KOTOR series.
Yeah, I think he'll be all for it. But I also think, being upfront, I think he'll be pretty heavy-handed on, like, it has to do this, this, and that. Like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not just here's your idea and run with it. I think he's going to make sure it lines up with what his vision of Star Wars, how the universe works, how the characters interact, like,
makes sense,
how it should go. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I'm just in my head, I'm just imagining them pitching Kenobi and him being like, yeah, Kenobi's a sweet idea, but, you know, are the Inquisitors going to act like this because I created the Inquisitors? Like, here's some points on how to, you know, work the Inquisitors in. You know, is the show going to be centered on Reva? Maybe not. Right? Are we going to save Vader? Like, is he actually going to fight Vader multiple times in this series? Like, I don't know about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he would just lend, I don't know, he would just make the scenes smarter.
Yeah.
I guess the best way. And like, at the end of the day, it comes down to writing. He'd probably see that script and he'd say, chuck it and give me, like, this idea I like, this idea I like, this idea I like, but you got to rework how they get to A, B, and C.
No one's abducting Leia. Can we just move on from this?
Yeah. Like, why? Yeah. Like, why is this series about young Luke and young Leia? Well, mostly about young Leia. I get it. Like, you need a reason for Obi-Wan to get off that planet. But, you know, to make Leia, and again, the little girl who played Leia was great.
So good.
But for a series about Obi-Wan and you bring back Hayden Christensen, like, I felt like they didn't get their screen time got robbed.
Yeah,
the potential development. Yeah.
Yep.
But okay, we're not here to talk about Kenobi.
No.
All right. Any final thoughts on Filoni here before we move on to Rey?
I think it's my final thoughts are, it's a great move for Kathleen Kennedy and a huge step forward for Star Wars as a franchise.
Yeah. But a lot of people beating that drum forever. Like, we want Dave to take over. And now he has the creative control for stories.
Yep.
So, like, giddy up. It's about time. Like I said, the guy's been at Lucasfilm. He's like he's a lifer.
Long overdue.
Yeah. All right. So
Daisey Ridely.
Rey,
this one I don't know about yet.
All right. So you know there's a new Rey movie coming, right? Do you know
that? Heard, but I don't know anything about it.
There isn't much details
at
all. But Rey's quote is where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Rey's quote, she was asked about it. So it takes place 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker. She says, I'm very excited. The story's really cool. She's still waiting to read a script because obviously she doesn't have any other updates, but she says it's not what I expected, but I'm very excited. She says, I haven't read anything, but she knows the story. And she says it's so she's really, so she says it's really worth telling and it's worth exploring. And I think people will be excited. First, any thoughts about what Daisey Ridely have to say before I move on to my questions for you?
I think that is what Daisey Ridely would have to say.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way that she would say, yes, they approached me. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, actually.
It's a terrible movie, but the paycheck's pretty big. And right now,
there's frontal nudity of me and what's his face.
I haven't, I've been in a few movies and they have since bombed.
Me, Poe, and Finn, we get it on. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what she has to say. The part that intrigues me from that quote It's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So this is somebody that lived and played that character. You would think they would know what their story would be 15 years later.
Yeah.
So
and like
that intrigues me.
And the way they end it, she's burying the sabers. And I think it's I don't know if it's been details about the movie that's shared or just what people thought, but I think lots of people think it's about Rey's training the next young Jedis. She's essentially doing what Luke was doing.
I was just going to say,
TFA.
maybe that's what we need to see. Maybe we need to see
but if it's
Jedi
not what she
move on from the
expected,
Skywalker.
so I wonder if they have a unique angle on that whole thing.
Yeah,
unless
we
she
always
was just
wanted
totally
to watch Luke train Jedis.
Yeah,
but now we need to move on from the Skywalker name. Well, the Skywalker bloodline. So yes, I think the world needs to see it.
Yeah, and I hope it's well, for one, I know a lot of people are probably rolling their eyes. Like, why would Disney greenlight another Rey movie when the
will Adam Driver be shirtless in it? Is really as a Force ghost, just walk around, no jersey on.
But like at the end of the day, it really just comes down to writing. Like you can make a fantastic Rey movie, just write it well.
Of course,
just write it.
Yeah,
like give her some, some flaws. Like, for example, like just spitballing in my head, like if they did something like this, could be compelling to me. Like, say she's training the next Trooper Jedi orders or Jedis or whatever they want to call them in this, because she was all about the gray and the balance, kind of thought. So, say she has two that she's been training up, and they go out on a mission or something like that, and they run into some sort of evil, and like they get like wiped out or something like that, and she then spirals because her failure as a teacher and not having them,
make it dark. Yeah,
exactly. And then she now has to and she's not herself isn't power enough for this new threat, and like has to bring in, say the next two main stars to younger, I don't want to say Padawan, say they're just Jedi Knight status, right? I doubt they're doing the whole hierarchical thing, but say they're like Jedi Knights, like she has to take her, her two main star pupils and go out and fight this. But this whole time she's dealing with like
her own internal battle.
I got him killed. And like really realistically, that's what Luke battled with too, right? Like I got all these young Padawans killed in my temple because I failed Ben Solo. So like they did something like that, and the villain has to be.
You've seen a brief glimpse of her other side with the dual.
Yeah, her dark side. Like maybe she's a terrible teacher. Like maybe she wasn't that great, or maybe like you said, like when she spirals, the dark side comes out of her. Like there's so many. There's a lot of options.
I want to see that kyber crystal turn color when she gets evil. Like. I'm okay with this. I want to see something different. Yeah, that's
maybe
fair.
she goes on a rage. Yeah, goes on a rage fit to whatever, and she ends up turning dark. And her students then have to like try to turn her. Like I feel like, again, we're not writers. I know this might sound stupid to some people, but there's potential there to create a good character development for.
But Rey. I agree, they need to make it. I would love to see it dark. I'd like to see.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see her.
I'd like to see it uncomfortable
with some real.
Some real shit. Yep. Yeah, it's fair.
And just writing.
Do we know when they're looking at launching this?
I think it's the first one out the gate. As far as all I think the next two movies are going to be hers, and then Filoni's to cap off the Mandoverse, and then I think Taika Waititi's is after that.
Okay.
Speaking of Taika Waititi. He said that he's taking, I think, again, let me know in the comments what the exact quote, but I'm paraphrasing here. He basically said he's taking his time with his Star Wars movie. It's a no rush, but from what it sounds like, it is still happening. And he said it's going to piss people off.
See, that I'm into. I'm in. I'm here for it.
So there's two directions my brain goes when he says it's going to piss people off.
Okay.
One is he's going to go the Love and Thunder route and turn it into like a comedy, essentially, like
too much, like a synthy com. Yeah.
Like put way too much over the top comedy into it. What Star Wars is normally used to.
Yeah.
Or he did get the green light to use existing characters, and he's just going to. I don't want to say butcher them, but he's going to make them do things that'll make fans of those characters upset. That's the two places my brain's going when he's saying something like that.
All right. I mean, the thing with him is his range of what he could create. Like I look at some of my favorite, like I loved Thor Ragnarok. I loved Jojo Rabbit. Like he has the ability to dabble in things that are extremely uncomfortable. And turn them into almost mockery. I don't know if I can ever see him writing something super serious or dark.
Yeah. Like, would he have the balls to score a Star Wars movie without like Star Wars music? You know what I mean? Would he do something as crazy as that?
I don't think he'd be allowed to, but
I was gonna say they probably wouldn't let him do that.
Filoni would thumbs down that one, I assume, because there's going to be a piece of traditionalism with him.
Like, no, get my boy Kevin Kiner up here.
But I see his movie being over the top funny, and the good guys don't win. And then at the end of the movie, you're not really sure who good and bad is. And then, I hope that troll guy isn't watching this one where he gets mad at me again. But like, I can see him doing something like that, where he takes a movie and basically throws the idea of good and evil upside down. And at the end of the movie, you have no idea who the good guy and who the bad guy is. Like, I could see him doing that, because traditional Star Wars fans have always been very, very crystal kyber clear on good versus evil, light versus dark. I think that if he was going to piss the world off in the Star Wars universe, he would blur those lines or make you wonder if that was the case. Like, I could see him having the gusto, the balls, and the creative ability to turn that theory on its notion. And I've said it to you before many times on these podcasts. Someone should. I can't think of a better person to do it. I can't think of a better person that I leave his movie and I go, who was I rooting for? Like, I knew at the beginning, but now at the end, I don't know.
I'm all for like the Star Wars formula being blown up and getting something completely different.
Yeah.
For us, it's obviously worked with Andor. Rian Johnson, even though he used Star Wars tropes, he tried to do something different, I guess, with the character arcs, I guess is the best way of saying it. And in some people's view, he was widely successful, and in other people's view, he made the worst movie of all time. Obviously very polarizing. But yeah, I'm like, give us something different we haven't seen. Like, I don't want to see, the farm boy or the orphan girl who grows to be, the hero.
Wait, I have one exception. The stable boy. The stable boy can be 25 now, and he can come and kick some ass. Remember the stable boy?
I would die if this movie was that was Broom Boy.
Broom Boy. Yeah. Stable boy, Broom Boy. I want to see Broom Boy.
That would piss people off.
Wielding a red saber.
That would piss people off.
Yeah. I want to see the revenge of Stable Boy.
Yep, Stable Boy with Leonard Skinner Freebird playing as he
wearing purple pants. Yeah. In
Rainbow
a
saber.
Physical sexual relationship with a Sith and on the Jedi Council. There we go. Let's do this. With Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus playing in the background.
It'll be interesting. Would Filoni does Filoni give what's the old phrase, carte blanche to Taika Waititi and just says, hey, you're a big movie director, like you can do whatever you want? Or would Filoni be like, man, cross this off, this off, can't do this,
can't ride a unicorn into the he's earned carte blanche. Taika Waititi is a director, as a character, as an actor, as a human. What he has done and attempted in his professional career is so underrated as a creative personality. Most people will never understand what he has accomplished without being notarized for it. Have you watched Jojo Rabbit?
No, it's always on. I try to get
he is
to watch
a
it with me, but
Jew. And he played Adolf Hitler in his own movie.
Yeah.
and he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. His exact comment when asked about it is, "Imagine Hitler rolling over in his grave, knowing a Jew played him in a movie." Like he has the creative balls to just push the envelope. So yes, he's earned carte blanche. I don't know if he'll get it though.
Yeah.
Filoni's going to be wearing that new hat and that new paycheck, a little heavy for the first little while. I think he's going to, as you said, he's going to want to see what's going on.
I just think what you said. It'd be cool to see a movie where there's like a Sith sitting on the Jedi temple, but the whole time you're following them, you think they're a Jedi, and then
at the end you realize that
corruption is in the three-quarters of the way through. You just get the big reveal that the whole time they're really the Sith. And like that main character you've been following for and rooting for was actually the rotting core of the
or exposes corruption in the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
And you realize they're a Sith and you still vote for them and you still root for them because of all of the politics and the garbage and corruption that exists now in the Republic.
Yeah. Well, we know what really need
Council, right?
Like, you know what you really need? You need a Count Dooku-esque character that doesn't like join the Sith, but he like brings it down. He gets, you know what I mean? Like a Baylan Skoll. Like,
I would like Taika Waititi to do the Count Dooku origin movie. Boom.
Yeah, we got into the Jedi, but it was there. And I wonder, he was picked. He was slated to do that after the success, I believe, of Ragnarok.
Correct.
When he was like at the top of the game.
Yeah.
Now we're some years later, and Love and Thunder was kind of widely panned, and so it'll be interesting. I'm assuming to get him on board, they promised. I bet you they just said you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Dave can't even really say anything to him if he doesn't like the take he's going.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting.
I don't know, but like at the end of the day, everyone complains about when there's a bad movie here and there. I just love Star Wars and I love content. Like if I get something awesome, great. If it sucks, like my brain has the ability to ignore it.
Yeah,
like you know what? Fair. I don't have to watch that again, and I don't even have to think about it again. Someone.
I know who would play the main character in his movie.
Him,
Kim Coates, the guy who played Tig from Sons of Anarchy. That's the main. That's the guy you're rooting for.
Why him? Is he used him in something else?
No, I was in a conversation with a friend of mine, and Kim Coates came up because we were talking about the Sons of Anarchy.
Did you just recently watch? Yeah,
Sons? He just happened to be on my mind for a conversation today.
I haven't heard.
We were talking about some of our favorite TV characters.
Yeah,
and we both agreed that Tig from Sons of Anarchy, who is played by Kim Coates, is one of the most uncomfortable but good characters we've ever watched. So him in a Star Wars movie. Yeah, there we go.
He'd be a grimy.
Go get it, Taika Waititi.
All right, so that is. I think that's all the points I had for.
That's it, and we're 33 minutes, so we're a little long, but not horrible. We should wrap this up quick.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be going out this long, but good discussion. Good discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Are you excited for Dave? Are you, casually optimistic about the new Rey movie, or do you just hate everything about it? Because like I'll be honest, like to me, like we said earlier, it all comes down to writing. If they write a fantastic movie, I'd be all over it.
They have the ability to save the Rey character with a great write here.
And to me, like the idea of Rey and the character isn't even really like the issue for me. It's just the way she was. It was just the way her character was developed during the movies. Like it was kind of poorly. Like they could have did a lot more with her to, but we'll see. Like you said, they could turn her into like, obviously she's a fan favorite for a bunch of people out there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they can, turn some haters' opinions on her with a great script. Like, it's possible. And assuming Daisey Ridely does good acting, but I think was it JJ who said she like was like super wooden or something? I can't remember what they said when she was first doing TFA, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know when we'll be on next, but we'll
When
see.
we are, it'll be at 9 o'clock.
All right. Peace out, everyone.